This is one of the most bizarre Prime Minister's question sessions in a very, very long time, where you have the leader of one of the main political parties, Labour, the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, saying that actually, when it comes to one of the huge issues affecting energy supply at a time of war, he's not the decision maker. It all started because Kemi Badenoch was chucking grenades at him, basically saying, we've got the North Sea sitting there, lots of oil and gas waiting to be exploited. Why aren't we drilling it? Why is it sitting in the ground? And he turns around and he says, well, this is a job for the Secretary of State, i.e. Ed Miliband, to make the decision. And Kemi's having none of this. Brandeis is pathetic, saying that Keir's the only person in the world who's being pushed around by Ed Miliband. It's all very feisty stuff. He's, meanwhile, chucking out lines that she's essentially a warmonger who's now in the process of doing a huge U-turn by not wanting to go. It's getting very heated.
Speaker, I asked the Prime Minister 6 questions last week, and he didn't answer a single one. He has a duty to this House, Mr. Speaker, to answer the question. Let's see if he can do better this week. I'll start with a simple one. Will the Prime Minister approve the licences for Rosebank and Jackdaw gas fields in the North Sea?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, under statute, that is a matter for the Secretary of State, as she knows, because it's the same arrangements that were in place under the last government. Licences were granted. They were then struck down because of the defects in the process of the last government. But, Mr. Speaker, oil and gas is coming out of the North Sea 24/7. It will be part of the energy mix for many years to come. We fully support all existing oil and gas fields throughout their lifespan, and in November we made changes to extend to allow neighbouring fields to be exploited. But we need to take control of our energy prices. The only way to do that is through renewables. The party opposite used to make that argument. One of their senior figures in 22 said this: it's investment in nuclear and renewables that will reduce our dependence on fossil fuels and keep our consumer costs down. Who was that senior figure? The Leader of the Opposition.
This is not the day to be thrown out with a 2-week break coming. Kemi Badenoch.
Mr. Speaker, we can have renewables and oil and gas. He says it's a matter for the Secretary of State. He says it's a matter for the Secretary of State. I thought he was the Prime Minister, and he loves to hide behind legal process every single time. I wonder, Mr. Speaker, what a Director of Public... What? Have
Order. Mr. Yazin, you don't want to test my patience, I'm sure. Kemi Badenoch.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister loves to hide behind legal process. I wonder what a Director of Public Prosecutions would make of the defence. Sorry, I can't produce my WhatsApps. My phone's been stolen. The Jackdaw gas field could be up and running before winter. All that gas would be used here in the UK to heat 1.6 million homes. That is enough to power Norfolk, Suffolk and Essex put together. So will the Prime Minister approve the licences, or is the Energy Secretary running the government?
And then we cut to Ed Davey, the leader of the Liberal Democrats, who stands up. So what's he going to say? The party's, I think, 13% in the polls. There's a lot riding on him. Well, he stands up and says, actually, the Prime Minister's right. It's not his decision. And the Leader of the Opposition's wrong, which is a very strange tactic. But it suggests that the Lib Dems, in bottom place in the polls at the UK level, is very much worried about the Greens, that they want to be jumping on the argument that actually, far from drilling in the North Sea, trying to get that out, that, to quote Keir, we need to go further and faster on renewables. So there's a real dividing line about how homes are heated, with Kemi saying that if we opened up the Jackdaw fields, 1.6 million homes could be heated. This is a real area of contention where there's great fighting to be done because, well, there's a war on and energy bills are spiralling, and that we've already got one of the highest levels of energy bills for a developed country.
Mr. Speaker, as a former Secretary of State for Energy who granted licences for oil and gas exploration. Can I make a judgment on this argument? The Prime Minister is actually right, and the Leader Opposition is wrong. Mr. Speaker, the law is clear, and I believe in the rule of law. Mr. Speaker, just before President Trump posted about his supposed negotiations with Iran on Monday, traders made hundreds of millions of dollars of extra bets on oil futures. This looks like Donald Trump giving his mates insider information so they can make themselves richer, while his illegal war in Iran makes everyone else poorer. This looks like corruption of the very worst kind. Does the Prime Minister share my fear that Trump is making his war decisions based on what enriches himself and his friends rather than what makes peace in the Middle East?
And then, however, the drama isn't over, because Nigel Farage stands up and he slams into the PM about demanding a plan B when it comes to stopping the boats crossing the channel. And Keir clearly is relishing, seizing every opportunity that he can get to slam reform with the local elections looming. And he says that reform don't want solutions, they only want to exploit problems. And this leads to the spectacle of the reform group marching out.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Smash the gangs. That is what the Prime Minister promised us. Trust me, I will stop the boats from coming. But 70,000 later, and 1,000 in the last week, and too many young men that pose a threat to national security. Is it not time to admit Smash the Gangs has been a total abject failure, along, frankly, with most of his other policies? Isn't it now time, he told us, as summer approaches, what is Plan B?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, this is from the man in the party that voted against giving law enforcement counter-terrorism-style powers to tackle that. So he wants the grievance, he doesn't want it sorted. And he has absolutely no judgment. He again said, let's join the war, let's all go to war. I want to make it perfectly clear he wants the war. A week later, screeching U-turn, we don't want to go to war. And he says, trust his judgment. Mr. Speaker, it's hard to take anything he says seriously. He promised lower tax, and now reform councils are hiking council tax by 9%. In Worcestershire, this is what he said about Worcestershire. He said, we took control of a virtually bankrupt council. I wish we hadn't bothered. He asked for people's votes, and then he abandons them. Reform don't want to solve problems, they only want to exploit them. I am thankful for the opportunity to change this country for the better. He says he wishes he hadn't bothered winning councils, because they're an absolute disgrace.
Well, it's been a feisty Prime Minister's questions. It's clear that a lot of people in that chamber absolutely loathe each other, and I think quite a few MPs will be quite relieved that Parliament is heading into recess. We'll have the chance to calm down.